tell me about working with Steve.
Yeah.
You were there for a long time.
Yeah, Steve was a unique person on this planet. He was the most intense person I've ever known. I've met a number of world leaders, and I can tell you from experience, having dinner with a world leader is relaxing compared to like lunch on a Tuesday with Steve. He was super driven, very demanding. He forced people to do their best, and there's a lot of this has been told. I want to tell a slightly different story. It's one I've never told before publicly, and he was really compassionate and dedicated to his friends and his relatives. And he saved my life once. And it was when we were deep into Mac OS 10, right before we started the iPhone. And I got sick. This virus went through my kids' school. And everyone at school, a lot of kids at school got sick, and they threw up once, and then they were better. And it hit me a few days later, and I started throwing up. Once every few hours, once an hour, day after day, a little more often. Steve would call every single day. What's going on? How are you doing? What can I do? Then he started coming up with, solutions. You must eat this kind of apple ground up for 20 minutes of this. I mean, like, it was like very specific health solutions for this. Nothing worked. Week passed. Second week passed. I was throwing up every 15 minutes. I lost 5 pounds, then 10 pounds, then 20 pounds, then 30 pounds. I went to the hospital. They couldn't solve it. They finally figured out what it was, and it's a very rare thing where I think the Mayo Clinic had seen 7 cases over like a decade, and most of those people died.
But it was a virus.
A virus that stops your stomach from working. And just certain people, like, it stops your stomach. So I'm in there, and I'm dying. I'm in the hospital, I'm dying. And Steve calls every single day, asking how things are going. If I couldn't talk, he'd talk to my wife. And at this point, I'm throwing up every 5 minutes. I just want to die. I wanted to die. They gave me every medicine they could that they give to people with cancer treatment to try to stop the nausea. Nothing helped. And I would sit there like holding my finger, like wanting to break it so I could feel pain as opposed to nausea and concentrate on something else. And they put a PICC line in to feed me directly through my superior vena cava because I was disappearing. And one night, about 10 o'clock at night, this is now months into it.
God.
Steve calls up about 10 o'clock at night and he says, I have the best acupuncturist in the world, and I'm going to bring her to you tonight, and she's going to fix you. I'd never done acupuncture. I didn't have any reason to believe it would work or wouldn't work. At this point, I thought if someone comes shake a stick over me,
You're into it.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I had very young kids who just saw their dad disappearing and dying. 2 hours later, so Steve says, you're at Stanford Hospital, and he said, yeah, they're probably not going to love me coming in, bringing this other practitioner into the hospital. So if I get stopped, I'm just going to dedicate a wing. It's nice to have friends like that.
Yeah.
There was one time a meeting we had at Apple. We were trying to price something, and Steve was arguing for some price, and I was arguing for another one, and he was arguing for this higher price. And I said, it's too high. And he's like, no, this is where people are going to pay this. I said, I have friends, I have relatives who have very little money. This is too high. I said, you're a billionaire. You don't understand. And he paused and looked at me and said, I'm a multi-billionaire.
But it worked.
He still went with his price. Okay, so he comes into the hospital about midnight, comes in with his acupuncturist, and he gets through everyone, comes into my office, into my room, holds my hand, starts talking to me. He's like, she's going to fix it. I'm throwing up while he's there. I mean, it's just awful. And she comes over, and I said, does it matter if I believe this? Because I don't know if I do. I mean, I can try. Do I need to try to believe this is going to work? And she just looked at me and she said, I'm going to manipulate your involuntary system. Doesn't matter what you think. I'm going to fix you. I liked the chutzpah. And she started sticking needles in my head, my back. The nausea went away.
Like immediately?
It immediately started going away. She was there. They were there hours until sunrise. And for the first time in more than 2 months, I didn't throw up for like 8 hours straight. They left at sunrise, came back a few hours later. She did it again. I never threw up again.
Wow.
I drove. They let me out of the hospital the next day. She came to my house, did it. I got hungry that day. My mom baked fresh bread. I ate for the first time in 2 months. The next day, a nurse came to my house and took out the PICC line. She said it's the fastest in her 27 years of being a nurse she'd ever taken one out. I was 100% dying, and Steve brought this person to me and saved my life. So I will always, always owe him that.
That's amazing. What did the Stanford doctors say?
It's interesting. It actually depended on their age. People right out of med school think they've been taught the entire corpus of medicine, and they didn't believe it. Oh, you just happen to get better at this time. Any doctor over 50 said, there's a lot we don't know, and that worked. Like empirically, 100% that worked. I can't explain why. I can't tell you if acupuncture works for other things. All I can tell you is I lost 60 pounds, and I threw up I started like this at the beginning of that, and I threw up every 5 minutes and wanted to die, and this person came in, and I clung on to life again.
Yeah, okay. We are close to being out of time. I have a lot of questions.
All right.
Let's go to the questions. That's